Hi, this is Elizabeth Goerner, and I am introducing the observation video required by my master's program at Lamar. I observed Mr. Jackson's integrated physics and chemistry class today. It was primarily 9th grade students. There are only 2 10th grade students in that class. There are a total of 28 students. The demographics are there are 6 students that are economically disadvantaged, that's 21%. There are 9 females and 19 male students. There is one Asian student, that's 4%. There are 2 African American students, that's 7%. 3 Hispanic students, that's 11%. 19 white students, that's 68%. And there are 3 students that identify as multi-ethnic, and that is 11% of the class. This is close to the demographics of the entire school, although we do have a higher population of Hispanics, and that's more than the African American population. Another consideration for this class is that 12 students in the class are special education. There are 11 boys and 1 girl who have a special education designation, and then there are even a few more kids in the class that have 504, and this is a really big number. We usually try to keep that down to about 1/3 of the class for a variety of reasons, and this class has reached almost halfway, so I'm really glad to have the opportunity to see the class because of that, just because now I'm more aware of that. So in today's class, they were focusing on motion. They were looking at TEKS 4A and 4E. TEKS 4A is that the student will describe and calculate an object's motion in terms of position, displacement, speed, and acceleration. TEKS 4E is that the student will apply the concept of momentum, conservation of momentum, using action and reaction forces, such as students on skateboards. So in this class, they focus a lot more on TEKS 4A, the position, displacement, speed, and acceleration, and he introduces the concept of momentum, which in a later class he'll go over a lot more. So that's what we're going to be looking at, and welcome to the class. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, get to it. I'll split your group up if I don't like it. You can be on TikTok. Alright, you go to Willie, come here. You're part of our group now. You're gonna go.
Sorry, you already got a group.
Joseph. 3 books or more times.
Y'all, I'm just going to sit here, so y'all don't mind me. Hey, yeah, come here. Look, I want to show you this. I'm videotaping myself, not you, okay? I'm the only person that's going to be on this video. I've got to do it from a master's degree thing.
Sure.
I've got to observe, and I've got to take a video of myself observing.
Fine.
Okay, so I'm just letting you know. Yeah, I do, thanks.
Yesterday I made a copy off the board.
Yeah, I see that you have the board there.
Today I didn't feel like making all of it, so I made that for you.
No, this is great.
No, her weight weighs 100 grams. That weighs 100 grams. You just said all you need is that's 200 grams. Yes, positive. Go out and tell yourself. I'm trying to be positive. Okay. No. What are you doing?
then you add 100.
Told you.
You
ready? That was like a second. That thing went for a second. I rounded up. I'm gonna try it again. 4, 3, 2.
Wait, call or no call?
No, wait. 3, 2, 1. That's a minute. That's a minute. A second 12. Basically a second still. One last chance. One last round. Ready, set, launch. Still a second. Time. 1 second. So the average velocity. Distance divided by time.
And time, remember, time is several.
1S.
To the best time. You get the same number, or really close to the same number 2 times in a row. Use it.
8 divided by 1 is 0.8. So average velocity is 0.8.
Jeremy, time is several times. Make sure you get a good one.
We already know it's going to be 1 second no matter what.
Well, it might be a little bit. I want you to do it a couple times because
We went 3 times.
if we mess up, I want to eliminate as much error as possible. Okay? So do it a couple times.
We went 3 times and then 1 second.
Every single time?
It was 55 seconds and then 62 and then 1 minute 10 seconds. We're all rounding up to 1 second.
But, okay, listen, if you did 0.52 and then you got 1 second, that's a half second. That's a big difference. So I want you to try it a couple more times, okay?
Ready, set, 1. That's a minute. That's second 8.
Okay, so now you know you shouldn't use the 52. That was way off. Hey, if they're hitting the floor, they
1 second.
shouldn't hit the floor.
We've been using 1 second. Okay, so that was 4 times. Ready? We're going to try 5 times now. Ready, set, start.
See how big
That was another second. 1 second is 2. So we still have it.
You guys need help calculating?
1.8 times
1.6.
1.6.
Is what?
Yes.
What is it? 1.6?
1.6. Now, momentum. So it's
Per second?
The second you add, yeah. So that's 160 grams per meter a second.
You just like describe what growth? You just describe speed and distance. And you were like, look at this girl, look at her. You did this bitch, and they were like, and you were like, slow down, mom, you're Andrew!
Not fall.
It did not. It did not. No.
You only need this one.
William, you want to be in our group?
Sorry, I already got one.
William, be in our group.
You ready?
Yeah.
So I just did the whole thing. Time 1 second.
What is
Momentum 160 kilograms times a meter second.
What does your formula say to do?
Hey, hold. Just listen right now. Kilograms times meters a second. 1.6 meters a second squared and then 160 newtons.
Mathematical equation. Nope, that's acceleration.
Right there.
So you got acceleration 1.6 meters per second squared.
Acceleration.
meters per second squared?
Yes. Then you can just figure out what force is. Yes, you can. That's the big word. You ready? Timer ready? Momentum.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
160.
160.
Yes. Ready? Set. Go. Minute 32. Second 32. Ready for second try? Second 32. Go. 48. 3, 2, 1.
You say go.
When I say 1, that's like go. 3, 2, 1. Second 13. 3, 2, 1. 81 seconds. What's the average? Basically 1 second.
Again.
One more run. Ready? I got it. Set. Go.
You guys good on
1.86.
calculations?
That's weird. We went from 1.36 to 1.8.
See what I mean? Something is inaccurate, so that's why I want you to do it a couple times. Now, if you get the same number 2 or 3 times in a row, that means that's the most accurate number.
Ready?
So you need to make sure you send the
Go.
most
120.
120. So which one is more accurate, the 120 or 1.? What was the other one you said?
1.86.
Which one is more accurate, the 120 or 18?
Well, we had mostly around the 1 second mark, and the one of them we did was 132. We had 40.40, and then we had a 112.
If you don't know, keep doing it.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's around the 1 second mark.
Yeah, but I want to be more accurate. I want to be 1 point something. I want to know what the decimal place is. I
Ready?
want to round to a whole
Set.
second.
Go.
Momentum.
1.8. 1.8.
Is this your phone? Where's momentum?
Listen.
Right there.
Okay.
That's your math.
You ready? You be good. Sylvia, we're gonna restart the times. Can you please write down the times when we get them? Can you write down the times when we get them? We're gonna restart the times. We're gonna see which one's the average. Ready? Set. Start. 1.5. Doing this for 7 times, and we'll see which one's the average. Go. 175, that's because we were a little late. Go. 158. 158. Ready, set, go. 113. 113. Ready, set, go. 87. Did you get it? 0.87? Go. 118. So what's the most common one around it? Or how many did we do? You want to go one more time? Ready, set, go. That's 94 seconds. Okay. 1.1. Like 1.1. Okay, so 1.1. We'll go for that one.
Well, it's 1.5, 1.75, 1.48, 1.13.
What I'm saying is the most common first decimal.
I look kind of close to
I say 1.5.
1.1. No, it was 1.1. Really, 1.1. These 2 times he was late. You want to retry those 2 times? Just scratch out these ones and just by erasing them. And then we'll just writing their place. Ready, set, go. 1.6, 06, 1.06, okay? And then that 1.5 is 1.05. Ready, set, go. .94.
Almost always got. That's like twice.
You want to touch it one more time so we can get .94 this time? Ready, set, go. 110. No, now we figured it out. It's 1.1. Because that .1 always came up 3 times. 1.15, 1.13, 1.10.
1.1.
Basically 1.1 seconds, yes.
How do you from 1 second to 1.1 second?
Oh, 0.72. You're cheating.
One in bowling.
Where am I on this range?
It's 0.72.
Meters a second, yes.
So where is it starting?
1.2, and I put the
That's 1.44 for velocity final. Meters a second.
You guys get done. You know, the competition is we're going to be over there. We're going to see how far I can wall car to go.
So the A, figure out the velocity final, that's 1.44. I just said that. No, that wasn't the average. The average was 0.72. I told you that. Cool. Did I not say so the average velocity was 0.72? Exactly. Try it again. Oh, so 1.44 times that by 200, we get 288 as the momentum. Now ready? 1.44 divided by 1.1 is equal to 1.3. That's 288 full. Now we go for force. Last time you accelerated. Okay, now we're going to force, okay? So
What is that? 130.
Hold on, let's real quick.
That's 288. And then force is 260. 1.3 meters per second squared, yeah. No clue why I said it.
Take away weight. Obviously you could do that.
We're talking about birds?
250 newtons, yeah.
There's a happy medium in there. So you get to choose. You have to find like these back. Yo, give me all the weight you have. But finish this. How much more do you guys have? Cool. Now hold off just a second and listen. We're gonna have a competition over here. Who can get their cart to go first? The books have to stay the same. You change the ramp. Really, guys. You can change the ramp however you want. You can add or take away weight, but I want to see how far I can get the car to go.
Oh,
Okay?
distance.
We're going for distance.
We can do that.
Keep going the distance.
Going with your speed. All alone, no time of need.
Where are we going?
Yeah, our test track will be over here. You can now. You can try it over here. You can try it over here. That's just where we're going. You can try it.
Okay, guys, ready? Let's just get the weight down to like minimum. Or show some weight down here. Move the book. You move the book. Right over here. Right down here. No, right here. Right behind Sylvia's there. Right there.
You better than me.
I don't throw it out. What are you going to do right now? Ready?
do that over here. Then I got room. I don't want to go too far. It's gonna run into that wall. Okay. Or run in the trim.
Right there. No. Now from that center.
I'll stop it.
I should go this way.
You got about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm gonna start the competition. 2 or 3 minutes, and we're gonna start the competition.
Hang on.
Your choice.
No, that's good, that's good.
Yeah, pretty good actually.
Only 50 grams.
There's rumors that some of these are better than others. So, cards out, and some are rumored to be faster than others.
You sit down. Go. You're not sitting down.
Ready?
Go.
We're gonna try and sit down at all.
I'm ready to win. Go.
You gave me the idea to use it.
Wait.
The other day I was doing this, the speed, like I was trying to see who could make it go faster.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would hit the bottom of the ramp and one would be ahead and then the other one would catch up. But it was hard. I was so hard to get them at least at the same time.
Yeah.
I just decided to screw that.
The distance is way better because you can use the same. You can use one of the equations to figure it out, and you can use those markers on the floor because they just wipe right up. Or you can use some of that spray stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I just went.
Sue likes that too.
Excellent. You ready to test your cart? Hang on to it when you start testing your cart.
Hey, I need everybody to come over here real quick. All the teenagers, everybody over here. Everybody over here.
You only get one chance. Just do everything.
Everybody come on. Here we go. Kristen.
I do usually do the same
Get up
card.
with your card. I'm off my card.
Same card, same rank. Oh.
Set, put those, set. I'm gonna use the same card every time, so you don't have to test this. That's why I'm gonna use, that's why I'm, good thought, that's why I'm using the same card. Okay, everybody listen, here's the rules. Listen up. Okay, I am gonna use the same card because some of those wheels that you found, that some of them spin better. James told them in 5 seconds, I won't care. So, the ramp, you can adjust the ramp however you want, as long as the ramp touches the books. We're using 3 books every time. You can add or take away as much weight as you want. So have your weight ready, or wait for somebody to finish the weight and then take their weight if you want more, whatever. Or if you want to give away to somebody. But we're using the same ramp. You can change it, same books, same card, and I will write down your initials on the floor, how far you go, the winner. Your choice. That's not necessarily the best thing, it's not necessarily the worst thing, it just depends on what you're going to do with it. Yes, well, I'm going to use one of your names. Okay? So I need somebody to start us off. Oh, yes. Go. How many times go to one? Everybody's going to go through once, and I'll see about time. Everybody? How much time do you have left in class? Donnie, I saw Donnie's hands first, so Donnie and then William is on first. Everybody else, y'all can put up your ramps, y'all can put up your books, and then get your weights ready to go.
I already got mine, bro. Where's our card? We got my weight. Why don't you just do that?
Nathan, give the books back.
Hey, unless you're getting weights, you need to come over here and watch. Yes, it is. If you're getting done, turn it. Unless you're putting weights in the cart, you need to come over here and watch.
We're getting the big.
He's just right now. Right next to him, so we don't. I don't want to
Late.
I see there's. I'm gonna do this.
He's coming at you.
Spin around.
Come on, come on.
Whoa, that's a street.
WT. Okay, good job. Donnie, you're up. Hey, yeah, we're gonna see all the time. You're gonna put that down before we come over and watch. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready, yo. I am.
Hey, come on, James, you're up next. James, you're up next.
Oh yeah, come on, Connor. Come on.
I'm hiding you. Whenever you're ready, Donnie.
Wait, I thought you said we were using the top part.
We're using the same card every time.
Where's our card?
EK right there.
We're using the same card.
That wasn't me, that was him.
Tonga, you're next. Go get ready. You're after James. If you need more weight, go get more weight. You can, like I said, adjust the ramp. You just gotta leave the book alone. Ready?
Not Helen. All in the ramp.
Next. We should have. No, it's gonna go next. Justin. Dude, beautiful. Rated 10 out of 10.
All in the ramp.
Did you write down my name? Or my initials?
That's fine.
Tell me what they are.
Who's
Why? Yeah, why? What are you doing with your life? Does DK stand for Donkey Kong?
I go with the ginger.
Hey, you.
Yeah, hey,
Do you have
I don't want to say.
Alright, Taha. Are you ready? Got a chance. Come here.
Not enough.
TA. Taha, you. Second place. Alright, who has gone?
Let's just do this.
Choose your weights.
Wait,
Front row seat.
Sam, do you really think I want you to do that? Don't ask. Let's not do that. Thank you.
There you go.
New leader. New leader.
Wait, we say TG?
TG, who had gone? Who had gone? Jessica, you guys got it now? Come on. We haven't got it. Everybody's gonna
We only go one.
Do it.
We only go
Don't
one.
do it. Don't do it. Trust me. Don't do it.
We've been friends for a long time.
I'll tell you like, I can't say right. You work with Miss Sweeney?
With who?
Miss Sweeney?
Who's that? I work with Coach Jackson. I'm in science. Do you know who I am? I'm the science lead teacher. I'm the head of the science department. Is this your first year here? How do you like it so far? It's pretty good school. Well, this is pretty cool. On what? Oh, that's in chemistry. You have to get to chemistry first. Biology. That's next year. You get to dissect a rat. It's pretty cool. Well, frogs are amphibians, and you dissect a rat because it's a mammal, and humans are mammals too, so the organ systems are the same. But our organ system is not the same as a frog's. So we dissect rats, but not frogs. You didn't dissect a frog when you were in middle school? No, they don't. No. They're preserved in a solution that keeps them from getting rotten. Yes, dead animals usually stink, yes. But there's this fluid that they put them in.
Head back to your seat. Did you put up some books?
I got this for you, Coach Jackson.
I dissected I was up there working yesterday, and there's a roach and
That's gross. It's kind of cool though.
What's that? He's a referee. He's a referee. He's a referee. Ready? One. Higher. That's cheating. You have 3 people holding it down. Why are you sweating? That is Jack. They have 3 people. No, it's not. No, what the heck? No.
You got wrong.
Where's Larry? How does that happen? No. You cheated. You cheated. We're all oh, and the referee, we told Mary that's funny, so we go for it.
Seth, your paper is not done. Thank you. Grab seat. Go.
It is. Like you should see it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what he just dabbed.
Hey, listen up. This, I got a couple papers back here.
That's mine.
Alright. I got a phone back here, I got papers. Make sure you get stuff. Thank you, Donnie. Make sure we knew who the winner was. Steph, I already told you what.
What did I do? You're just mean.
Make sure you're labeled in first place.
I will. Kiari, you're sure to go. That's only one more thing I'm better at.
First place has been labeled.
Wait,
Wait, your name on it.
yay! That's Kiari right there. Kiari Garrett.
Yeah, let's make it by votes. That's not even right. That should be just ties. It's like that close.
First
What is it?
Yes, actually.
You're ready?
Okay, first.
We got 10 extra points. Yay! Yes.
Okay, listen up. Now, obviously, hopefully you realize, did a weighted card or not weighted card go for you? A weighted card. Because mass times velocity equals speed. Momentum, not speed. What are you talking about? Not lift? If you would have done your lab when you were supposed to, you would have done this. So mass times velocity. So mass is a huge point. The more momentum, a train, huge mass, car, little mass. Which one's harder to stop?
Train track.
So which one's going to be harder to stop? Weighted or unweighted? Weighted. Yes, sir.
You also have to factor in friction.
You do, absolutely, because eventually it's going to stop. Now, even if you don't put your hand down, it's going to stop. So there's friction from the gravity pushing down into the floor. Now, I'm going to take this and we're going to talk about some car stuff. The first video I'm showing you is about test dummies, and it's kind of how they regulate the test dummies to make sure they are testing correctly. So, in the forces and momentum, they're going to use some of those words. And then I'm actually going to show you some crash tests and kind of hopefully talk about it, you'll kind of understand why we're talking about all this. First, I'll get you some down.
Throughout the world of testing, there's always one guy that seems to take the hit, in the name of safety. He's a crash test dummy. At a laboratory in Holland, they test them to ensure their reactions are as human as possible. Ouch! First up, the head drop test. Inside the head are 3 sensors for measuring acceleration or deceleration, one for each direction. A sensor in the neck measures the forces on the dummy. The head is held by an electromagnet. When the button is pressed, the current is cut. The deceleration, the rate at which the head slows when it hits, is measured in G.
The lower limit is set to 100 G and the upper limit is set to 150 G. The value we measured is 125 G, so that's right in the middle. So we can say that the head has passed its certification.
Next, the knee impact test. A 5-kilogram weight is dropped onto the knee to measure the displacement. Ouch! Here, a new dummy is about to be hit full in the ribs. He has 3 abdominal force sensors, and his shoulders rotate realistically to expose his side. Where a human body would break, the dummy stays intact and measures the damage. In fact, a dummy can last for 20 years, but it needs to be recalibrated every few crash tests to make sure it's still accurate. Lastly, it's time for the frontal chest test. The kind of forces the dummy could go through if it hit the steering wheel. If you tried to push the dummy's chest with your hand, you'd get about 1 centimetre in. With this test, it's compressed to more like 7 centimetres. Nasty stuff, but it's these simulations that save lives. And this dummy is a pass.
Okay, so that was just kind of showing you some tests that they do on the test dummies to make sure. You got to think, you hit the chest. If you're in a car wreck, what's going to hit your chest? Steering wheel or dashboard or seat in front of you. So they got to test, see how hard those things hit you, so they can make the car safe. Now here is a Volkswagen. This is a crash test, not a real one, but a crash test. Oh. And they have to wreck brand new cars to make sure you're safe. Now notice where most of the crumpling of that car was. Okay, so why do you think it stopped right there? Why is it important that the car wreck stopped right there and didn't keep crumpling up that road?
So it didn't hurt.
Yeah, so where do you think they're going to put most of the safety stuff? In the cab. They want that crunch. They don't care if the engine gets destroyed. They care a lot more about his head. Now see, what's that blue and red? You see that? Yeah, they put paint on them because if it hits the steering wheel, they want to know that the head's hitting the steering wheel or the flaps or whatever. So yeah, so they're measuring, a lot of what they measure is how much crunch you got in that car. Now I want to go back.
Look, isn't there some cases where they survive the crash, but then the thing that pops out of the steering wheel, it suffocates them?
I don't know of that, if it happens. Okay, right there. Now, everybody look at this picture right here. Now think about it. Obviously, two objects can't occupy the same space at the same time. So if that steering wheel is in the same place as your chest at the same time, somebody's going to get it. It's probably going to be your chest. So, like I said, most of the structural safety stuff is going to be around the cab because they don't want that steering wheel to be in your chest. They want as space. So if they do this crash test, that steering wheel is inside that crash test dum's chest, not a safe car. So it's important to them. Now this one wasn't as bad. I mean, not many collisions are perfectly head on. A lot of them happen from the side. Not in every car now has the side airbags and the front airbags. So they're as safe as they've ever been. They used to have, they didn't have safety glass, and they didn't care about pads because you cut yourself up all the time in the dashboard. They didn't have airbags and stuff. Okay? Now, this one is kind of a fairly outrageous test. But this is a Ford Focus, 120 miles an hour. Okay? So this one is outrageous, but it kind of just demonstrates that this is why you have speed limits.
This is it.
That's key. How fast it stops is key. I'll talk about it in a second. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gas or water. I would assume they would take the gas out of the vehicle before they crash it. I really don't know.
Yes, you've got the vehicle crushed in the to the vehicle. You can see here, for an occupant in there, absolutely no survival space at all. There's the rear seat, and there's the steering wheel.
And that's what I'm talking about. They just said the steering wheel was right next to the rear seat. So you can imagine how much crunch zone you have.
Like, can you buy that?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm saying you can buy that.
That'll bump out, bro. I'll stop it right there. That looks like kind of crazy little picture. Okay, now a couple things about the video I want to point out and want you to think about. Now, they do these crash tests. I said about the crunch zone, like how much it crunches and stuff. Now, when obviously this red, there was no survival anywhere in that car because every class is old. What if I was in the trunk? Okay, has anybody ever been in a car and they slam on the brakes to avoid a wreck? Okay, why do you keep on going? Now, I have gone over this, but what's Newton's first law? Stays in motion. So if I'm going 120 miles an hour, I'm in the very back of the car. It's still going 120 miles when I hit something. So even if I'm in the trunk of this car, so sorry, not going to survive.
What if like you're back there like this?
Here's the key. How fast does it stop? Okay? So I can go 120 miles an hour and stop and survive. I just use my brakes. So if I ease on the brakes and stop over a long period of time, nothing gets hurt because I slow myself down. Here, I stop like that, and I think it's at 0.68 milliseconds. So if you stop in a heartbeat, your body absorbs all that pressure. If you're stepping on the brakes, where's all the pressure being absorbed? The wheels, the brakes. Okay? That's where all the pressure, that's all the force is going on. It's going on the wheels and the brakes. Here, all the force is going all throughout that car, all over the place, right into your body, and that's what's going to kill you. So, momentum, really cool, makes your cars go, but momentum also can get killed. Yes? Your blood everywhere? Is that just clot?
No, I'm not saying it was crash. I'm just saying, like, I said like.
It doesn't go away. It's still there. It just,
So
you know how
like,
it
that person, do they bleed?
you like to get stabbed?
Yeah.
They get stabbed up all the time.
So you're all like crunch.
Not exactly. I guess you could think of it kind of like that.
That's kind of gross.
Cocoa butter.
So like dead people in the movies are all like floppy.
Okay, I don't. Take one, pass around. Since we have time.
My bad.
Hi, this is the reflection for the class that I just observed. Mr. Jackson teaches integrated physics and chemistry. This is a lab-based class that also serves as support for our freshman algebra classes. I want to give you a little bit of background information on this course in particular. A few years ago, I convinced our principal that we needed to change the way that we approached science for freshmen. Previously, the required sequence for science was freshmen in biology, sophomores in chemistry, juniors in physics, and then seniors in advanced sciences or AP science. Students who failed math or otherwise struggled in their freshman year would go to IPC for their sophomore class, or students who failed chemistry during that first grading period were transferred to IPC. So IPC was really a class for students who had failed in some way. And I thought this was a really bad way to do it. This was a reaction to students struggling that we could actually predict, and instead of being reactive to it, we could be proactive. So I thought no student wants to be in this class, no teacher wants to teach this class, so we need to change how the class is. At the same time, I noticed a correlation between our sophomores who took algebra as freshmen, and then as sophomores they were taking geometry, but at the same time they were taking chemistry. Well, those geometry, chemistry students had a higher chance of failing chemistry because they weren't getting the algebra support that you really need in chemistry. So the students were failing. It wasn't a surprise. So here's the solution. I decided that students incoming as a freshman could be placed in either biology or IPC. If they came to us and they have already taken algebra, then they need to take geometry as a freshman and biology as a freshman. But if they come to us as freshmen taking algebra, then we put them in the IPC class. IPC uses basic algebra, so it supports that class, and it gives the students a year to mature before they have to take biology, which is a class that has a lot of memory work, and it's just a difficult class, and it's also an end of course tested class. So it was important to provide this much that kind of support to our kids. So we did this. We made this change, and so about half of our freshmen take IPC, and the other half take biology. We even have an honors level integrated physics and chemistry honors level IPC class, and it has totally changed the way the class is viewed by parents and students and teachers. And so it's not a class of failures anymore. It's a class of just regular on-level students who are going through the course sequence. And so in this scenario, a kid could be a freshman and take IPC, then take biology as a sophomore, chemistry as a junior, and physics as a senior, which is really a traditional approach. And so we found that it's really helped our freshmen and sophomores negotiate high school. And it has an added benefit because as freshmen, they don't have to take 3 end-of-course exams, which would be algebra, biology, and English. So instead, we shift one of those EOC courses to their sophomore year. So it just made sense in so many ways. And so that's what we did. So that just gives you a little background for this class. So in the class that I observed, students were grouped into groups of 3 or 4 students. The groups were segregated according to ability level, with the special education and the 504 students distributed among the groups. Mr. Jackson has a co-teacher in that class, Mr. Dissinger, who rotated around the class and visited with each of the groups during the lab, as did Mr. Jackson. The lesson consisted of this lab in which students observed a cart moving a distance down a ramp. So students measured the time and the distance the cart traveled, and then did this for several trials. Then they added mass to the cart, and then the same scenario measured the distance and the time over and over again. Students then calculated the average speed and momentum of the carts for both the empty cart and the weighted cart. Mr. Jackson came by during the lab to check on progress, to guide them. For example, he came to the group that I was sitting in and talked to them about accuracy of time, and how he wanted to see not just 1 second, he wanted to see 1 second plus a decimal value. So he really talked to them about accuracy and good measurement. Then after the students had completed that part of the class, he switched gears a little and announced that there would be a class competition. The students would use a cart and a ramp, and then they would adjust the angle of the individual students could adjust the angle of the ramp or the amount of weight they put onto the cart, and then they would measure how far the cart would travel on the floor. So the same cart, the same ramp, so the kids could add weight and change the angle of the ramp, but otherwise everything was the same. And then they measured the distance that the car went and put a little mark on the floor so that they could see which cart went the farthest. So that would be the winner, is the group whose cart went the farthest. The kids were incredibly focused on the task. They practiced with their setup. Well, first of all, let me just say that group with the students was so wonderful, and it really pointed out how much Mr. Jackson has practiced differentiation and inclusion in his class. The main leader of the group of students that I was in is a high-performing autistic child, so special ed, but he was totally in control of the group, and you see that he's the one directing, you know, let's do it again, let's do it again. He was the one barking out the measurements. The other two students in the group were completely following his direction, but he was so into it. And I think that really says a lot about Coach Jackson's approach to the class and the inclusive nature of the class. So just wanted to say that. So they did that part, then they did the race. And then after the race, where there was a winner and it was great and they celebrated and everybody went back to their seats. Now I could have stopped the video there and I didn't, because the next part really is probably the important part. Everybody came back to their seats, and then he introduced a couple of video clips that really brought the relevance of the lesson home to the kids. Well, the first video was about crash test dummies and how they are constructed to measure the impact and the force applied during crashes. And the second one was a video of a little car in a 120 mile per hour crash, and you know, the slow motion where you could see the crumple zone and you could see the passenger compartment and how it reacted during these crashes. He showed these videos because he was showing them, you know, we're talking about momentum and speed and momentum, and this is why it's important, because every day you get into a car and how quickly do you stop? What does it mean to have momentum? Why is that important, and how is it related? So I thought that was really a great way to end the lesson and the way that he wrapped it up. So I think this was a really fantastic class. It showed a lot of good teaching practices. Differentiation and inclusion was fantastic in the class. There was a very warm, welcoming, student-centered environment. It was active learning with a purpose. Students were out of their seats. They were manipulating things. They were writing. They were taking measurements. They were working on their accuracy and precision. They were interchanging ideas. It was very active and very focused. Mr. Jackson made the lesson relevant to the students with his wrap-up activity at the end. He used some really high-interest videos and activities that the students every single student in the class was engaged about 100% of the time. I mean, I only saw maybe twice students who got distracted by something and maybe followed, you know, another butterfly somewhere, but really it was really fantastic. Also, the two teachers, Mr. Jackson, constantly rotating around the class, giving feedback, constant formative assessment, and so that was really, really wonderful. The only constructive criticism I have for Mr. Jackson is that the wrap-up could have been more effective if he had asked students to write out how the videos were a relevant example of momentum. Make it an exit ticket, or if he could have the kids keep a science notebook, because the kids don't have any, they didn't have to sit and really process it themselves with words on a piece of paper. Instead, they heard what Coach Jackson was describing, but that's not the same as them finding words to write out how it was relevant and how momentum was relevant and what momentum is. So I think that the lesson could have been better because of that. And maybe that's the challenge of having such a diversified number of students, but really I think that that's just good teaching practice. So he's got all these great things, and he could so wrap it up and be just so, it would really be a home run if he would wrap up that lesson with some type of writing activity or some type of activity like that. So that is my reflection for Mr. Jackson. I think that I have followed pretty much the Gibbs reflective cycle, what happened, what I observed, how I felt about it, what was good, what was bad. and a conclusion, and how I would change it if I was that teacher, or if he were to do it again. I know that this video is a little bit longer, but I really thought that it was important to see the second part of that lab. So thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great